guys! Today I'm going to review House on Haunted Hill.
I'm Vincent Price, and you're invited to my party in the house on Haunted Hill, where so far the ghosts have murdered only 7 people. So won't you come and make it 8?
House on the Haunted Hill came out in 1959 and is an American supernatural horror film. It was produced and directed by William Castle, written by Robb White, who was also the co-producer. Music was by Von Dexter. The film runs 75 minutes, which is quite short, and only cost $200,000 to make. However, it was a big success and made back $2.5 million. The film was remade in 1999 called House on Haunted Hill, and this had a sequel in 2007 called Return to the House on Haunted Hill. However, both of the remakes had negative reviews. The 1959 film is best remembered for its promotional gimmick. In some theatres, a plastic skeleton was reeled out on a pulley system. During the film, it was pulled out over the heads of a startled audience. And this gimmick was called Emergio, and the gimmick was responsible for the film's huge success. The film was colorised in 2005. The film stars Vincent Price, Ohmart, Richard Long, Alan Marshal, Carolyn Craig, Julie Mitchum and Elisha Cook Jr. And the skeleton was played by Bones. Yeah, so the plot of this one's interesting. Vincent Price plays a millionaire. Him and his wife invite 5 people to a house for a haunted house party. He promises them $10,000 if they're willing to stop the night. However, not all is what it seems. And in this review, I'll not reveal spoilers, because it's not really a supernatural film. It's more of a mystery type of film. So Vincent Price is famous for being in horror films. Him, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee are sort of like the big 3. Price was more famous for his films in the 60s and the 70s. But before then, he made quite a lot of horror films in the 1950s. Before Vincent Price got famous for The House of Usher in 1960, when he started his Roger Corman, Edgar Allan Poe films, he made a lot of films before this in the 1950s. Films such as House of Wax in 1953, The Fly in 1958, Return of the Fly in 1959, The Tingler in 1959 and The Bat in 1959. During the 60s and the 70s, he made classics for Roger Corman, and also films like The Abominable Dr. Phibes and the classic Theatre of Blood. William Castle was an American director-producer. He was also a screenwriter and an actor. He made many films which include Macabre in 1958, House on Haunted Hill in 1959, Tingler in 1959, 13 Ghosts in 1960, Homicidal in 1961 and Mr. Sardonicus in 1961. However, he's most famous for being the producer of the classic Rosemary's Baby 1968. He also made a successful TV show called Ghost Story from 1972 to 1973, which was later titled Circle of Fear. So this film's in the kind of the haunted house subgenre. But it's not really a haunted house film. It's more like a mystery murder film. And I love the haunted house genre. Like, my favourite films are The Haunting, The Changeling, films like that. So I was kind of like disappointed with this film because it wasn't a genuine haunted house story. But the film does have good moments. It starts off well. You see a blank screen and then you hear these screams. And then you see the faces appearing. You see Vincent Price giving a narration at the beginning of the film. Then you see the 5 guests arriving at the house. And they drove in these hearses. So they've all been offered £10,000 to stop the night. The 5 guests are a test pilot, a newspaper writer, the guy who owns the house, a psychiatrist, and a pretty young girl. And then there's Vincent Price, who's organising it, and his wife, who's a bitch.
Would you go away for $1 million tax-free? You want it all, don't you?
I deserve it all.
Hey, Phil, why does Vincent Price always get betrayed by women in his movies? That woman he's with now is a right bloody shithouse. Yeah, he does get betrayed a lot in his films, Bones. So it's a small cast, like a confined film as well. It's all set in the house. You see the outside of the house to start with. It's a strange looking house. It's not what you'd call a typical haunted house. It's more like a millionaire's mansion. During the beginning of the film, when they're arriving at the house, you hear this eerie music as well. That's effective. And then the rest of the film's set inside the house, so there's no outside location filming. But with it being a confined film, that's partly to do with the low budget. I like the scene where this girl finds a head in a box, but the best bit's this strange, creepy old woman that appears. That's quite a shock. That's the best scene of the film. And of course the skeleton scene where you see it appearing.
At last you got it all.
I was in that, Phil. And that's what it was most famous for, the appearance of the skeleton, because of the gimmick that William Castle was using, where he was wheeling this skeleton above the audience's heads. And it is a short film, it's only 75 minutes. However, it's not perfect, it does have some slow scenes. And personally, I was disappointed that it was not a genuine haunted house story. Vincent Price is on top form in this. He's got a brilliant voice, and he gives a good performance in this film as well. It is suspenseful, wondering what's going to happen. So it is good, but it's second tier type of Price film. It's not as good as the ones he did in the 60s or the 70s. But I still found it good, so out of 10 I think I'll give this one a 7. 7 out of 10. But do you think, Bones, do you like it? Eh? Only a bloody 7? Get to bloody 10 out of 10, it's an excellent film. Especially bits with me in. So now that I've reviewed The Skull for you, Bones, and also this film, what film do you want us to review for you next? Jason and the Argonauts from 1963. It has all me bloody family in that one. Okay, everybody, bye. Like, subscribe and share. Bye. Bye. Hey, Phil, that was me. That was my first big break in movies.